questions. So what we're going to do is without any more kind of hesitation, we are going to get this thing going. So Matt, without further ado, here's kind of the moment of truth of the webinar. I'm going to hand it over to you and have you do your screen share of your slides. And it looks like everything is working. So
we're set to go.
We're set to go. Matt, take it away.
Terrific. And thank you, Ryan. Thanks for that terrific introduction. Thanks to TrustedChoice.com and AgencyNation.com for hosting today's webinar. You all are putting out some great content, and we appreciate the opportunity to speak to your audience. And thanks to all of you for attending today's session of Agency Mobile Must-Dos. Now, while my company has developed the premier mobile application solution for independent agencies, this webinar is anything but a product pitch. In fact, my goals for today are very straightforward, and they are to enlighten you, enlighten all of you, so that you recognize that mobile is now and not the future. I want to demonstrate to you and will demonstrate that your agency can engage and contain your clients and prospects on the mobile platform. And I want to motivate you and your agency to take action today, because you can and you must implement some of the things that we're going to talk about today to compete in today's mobile world. So to help us understand how we got to where we are today with mobile, it probably helps to take a quick look back and understand that really mobile's been around for close to 40 years. And in fact, in 1973, the first mobile phone call was placed by a Motorola engineer. And then you fast forward almost 30 years to 2002, when we had the birth of what some would call the modern smartphone. There was maybe one that might have come before this, but this is when the BlackBerry broke out in 2002. And then it was only 5 years after that Apple debuted the first iPhone in 2007. And what's important to recognize today as we set the table for today's presentation is that the iPhone that is currently being used today, for the most part, the iPhone 6, the iPhone 6 Plus, and those that were just introduced last week at Apple's conference, are up to 50 times faster and more powerful than the iPhones that came out in 2007, and that's the same for all Android devices too. So these devices are allowing us to do an immense number of things, even today, that we could not have imagined 7 or 8 years ago. We can do much more with these devices than we ever could have done before. So how many of these devices are actually in the US marketplace? Well, there are about 250 million mobile phones in the US, and 75% of them, 3/4 of them, are smartphones. And who's using those? About 2/3 of the people who have smartphones are really in the sweet spot, if you will, for those who buy insurance, those in their mid-20s to mid-40s. And this statistic came out, was just released a couple of weeks ago. In the second quarter of 2015, as measured by Flurry Analytics, users who have smartphones are spending 3 hours and 40 minutes a day on their mobile device. Wrap your head around that. I've never done a self-assessment as to how much time I spend on my mobile device, but that's Flurry Analytics putting that out there. And that number has increased 43 minutes since the fourth quarter of 2014. So in less than 6 months, people are spending more time on their mobile phones, 43 minutes more a day than they were. It's remarkable how much more time we're spending on our mobile devices. And when people are on their mobile devices, 90% of the time, they are using a mobile app when they're on their mobile device. So when you think about what people are doing, they're using apps to get it done. And equally as important, and this statistic is about a year old now, I'm trying to find updated information on this. Nearly 60% of all internet traffic is now coming through a mobile device. And that includes links that are in Facebook apps, organic searches, but 60% of all internet traffic is now coming through mobile devices. So what's happening is, the reason why all that traffic is happening is that big companies are starting to figure out how to engage with their clients on the mobile platform. And those companies in particular verticals, travel, banking, are defining the customer expectations and experiences. They're making the service journey across platforms seamless. I can tell everybody on this call that I have used each one of these apps within the last couple of weeks. Delta's, Bank of America's, the Wall Street Journal, my AT&T Uverse app, our own insurance agent mobile application, and I watched a game on ESPN. It's a seamless experience for all of these applications across different platforms. So the question for everybody on this call, and I really want you to think about this, is when you think about your clients and your prospects, what does your agency look like in the palm of their hands? Let that sink in for a little bit. If you pulled up your agency on your mobile device, what would it look like? Because that's the experience that your clients and prospects are seeing. Does it look like this? Does it look like the mobile optimized website and the mobile app of a client of ours, Ray Insurance out of Sleepy Hollow, New York? Or does it look like this? An agency website that has not been optimized for mobile as recently as last Thursday, when I took a screenshot of this agency that's not too far from where I am. So if it's an experience like this, I'll come back to why it's important to not have an experience like this. So let's go back to that mobile optimized website for Ray Insurance. This is a radically redesigned mobile optimized website, and I give Linda Ray and her sister Laura Ray a lot of credit. They're putting themselves out there in a very meaningful way. And if you know Linda, you'll appreciate the video that introduces her and her agency to anybody who comes by on a mobile device through a web browser. But they didn't stop there. Ray Insurance also took it a step further and developed a more customized experience for their clients through their mobile application. Now, many of you on this call, I'm sure, might have stopped at the mobile optimized website, because I know that a lot of you are thinking that, well, if I've got a mobile optimized website, well, that's the same thing as having a mobile app, right? And I'm here to tell you that couldn't be farther from the truth. The two are very different in ways that I'll point out in a moment. Good companies, ones that a lot of you work with, like Travelers, have recognized that people come to their website for a reason, they'll come to their mobile website for another reason, and clients will utilize their mobile application for another reason. So these are three very different experiences across the spectrum of websites and applications that Travelers puts out. It's the same with Delta Airlines. On the screenshot on the left there, their primary website, you can do anything you want with Delta that you may contract with them, including getting a credit card, getting a trip, doing anything you want. Then you come down to the mobile website. It's a much more streamlined experience, as in, why is somebody accessing our website on a mobile device? Maybe they need to book a flight or check in or check flight schedules or the status of a flight. And then you come to the mobile app on the right there. It's a very personalized experience. I really have tracked my bags and found out that a bag was sent ahead of me so that when I got to the airport where I was going, I could pick up that bag and be on my way. So when you look at these different experiences across the different platforms, and you look at what an agency needs to be thinking about as they consider a primary website, a mobile website, and a mobile application, there are two questions you have to ask. And one is regarding the mobile website. Ask yourself, why would someone visit our website on their mobile device? And you may service a particular niche. That may be why they're coming there, to service that niche. You may have a particular personality that people are expecting to see. But when you answer that question, that's what the mobile website should address. On the other side, you've got your mobile application. And the mobile application is designed to do something very different. It's designed to engage and contain clients on their mobile devices in ways that we'll talk about. But when you ask those two questions for those two different avenues that people can get to your agency through, the experience is going to be very, very different.
Hey, Matt, do you mind if I jump in and just ask a question real quick?
Sure, please do.
Yes. So when I'm listening to that, what I'm hearing, and I'd love for you to straighten me out on this, is where a website is really about discovery, a mobile application is more about functionality. Like you, and I'm thinking about the examples that you used, like Delta, right? Like when I go to the mobile application, it's because I have a very specific reason. I want to book a flight or check on a flight or get my boarding pass. Where with the website, it's more like, well, what's going on, or if you want to check on the flight status or something. It just seems like function is really the driver of a mobile app. Am I right in that question?
It is, and I will use this phrase, and I'll use it now. I was going to use it later in the presentation. We talk about mobile moments, and the mobile moment is, why is somebody accessing this site? What do they need? What should be addressed in that particular moment? And if it is on a mobile website and someone's trying to learn about you, tell them about who you are. If you are a current client of an agency and they're trying to do something with you and transact with you or in some way communicate with you, the behavior has been established by these large companies that people will go to the app first. They tried to, if you will, have what are called web apps or the mobile web, and they asked people to bookmark websites and come back to it. People won't do that. People will use an app before they will go and bookmark a website, and that behavior is well established. So that's where the mobile app comes in to execute a particular function. That makes sense?
Yes, no, it definitely does. Okay, I'll let you get back to it.
Sure. And with the mobile optimized website, we tend to, if we're going to really boil it down and simplify it, it's not always this case, but most of the time it is, that the mobile optimized website is more for prospects, if you will. And it's important that that website be optimized for mobile, because if it's not, 2/3 of the people who stop by will depart. They won't even stop to take a look or engage. And that's important because 50% of insurance shopping starts on a mobile device. And that statistic comes from Progressive. Another important statistic was just released over the summer by EverQuote. And through their research, they found that a mobile shopper is 17% more likely to complete a quote request form more likely than a desktop shopper. Now, normally you would think that that behavior would be the other way, that someone would take the time to complete something on a desktop versus a mobile device. But it goes to the comfort level people now have inputting data and engaging on their mobile device in ways that they might not have before. They're using these devices to get things done. And equally as important for search purposes is that Google favors websites that are optimized for mobile. So that if you have a website like that one that I just pointed out earlier, it's more likely to not show up on the first page of Google if it's not optimized for mobile. When we look at a mobile app, there are some very refined definitions, if you will, of what a mobile app is. Very simply, it's one that's downloaded from either Apple's App Store or Google's Play Store, less and less from the Windows Mobile Store. And it utilizes device technology. And there are web apps now that can utilize the accelerometer and different functions of the device that they couldn't in the past. So web apps are coming in and they're evolving, but they still can't utilize all the functionality of a mobile device. And mobile applications tend to have features and benefits that really are found in the app and not through a mobile optimized website. So, what should a good agency app do? Well, from our perspective, it really should. It should help you in some way distribute the application to your clients. And I'm not talking about a QR code. I'm talking about, for us in particular, we send out the invites for agencies directly to their clients, introducing them to the agency's mobile application. You actually know who has installed your mobile application instead of guessing, well, maybe we've got a couple of downloads, maybe we've got 5, 10, 50. You actually know who has installed your application. So feedback and tracking is important. The application should be a communication hub. It should put the agency at the hub of communication between carriers and clients. It is where you want your clients accessing you to engage it for all things insurance. It should proactively engage and contain customers with notifications, and not just notifications to all, but maybe to a select group, maybe to a particular line of business, all those clients who have either a second home or marine policies, or as few as one client that you need to communicate with immediately. Above all, a good mobile application should help you reduce costs by allowing the client to self-service in a way that reduces phone calls into the agency in simple ways for policy information, so that they don't have to call the agency to send another ID card that's already been sent a couple of times, things like that. So it really should help with the ratios and loss ratios that you're all measured by. So
hey, Matt, if you mind if I jump in again? Sorry, you're great stuff. So I get questions pop into my mind. So what would you say to the agency principal who hears, sees the slide that you just had go through and talks about less calls necessary, less engagements necessary with the service staff? The first thing that jumps into my mind is I might be I might be nervous that if my clients aren't contacting me as much, then maybe I don't have the same relationship with them that I had before. How would you, how would you handle that kind of pushback or question?
Yeah, I can always, you really can argue it both ways. You want to interact with your clients as much as you can, for sure.